is brought to you by my patrons and by viewers like you. Greetings, groovy people! This is Blue Dragon of BDA. Actually, wait, that sounds wrong. That sounds like some kind of initials for something inappropriate, so Blue Dragon Art. I do art and talk about art, and in this video, I want to talk about a comic jam. I'm gonna try to script and stay on topic here, so if I sound a little stiff, it's because I'm literally fucking reading, but then I stopped scripting because I don't like scripting. I don't like to do it. But bear with me, okay? First, before we even get into this video, I have to talk about, just for a couple minutes here, some video editing shit, okay? I'm gonna get into more detail later, like in another video. But yeah, my last video, my December 10th video, got really fucked up because CapCut decided, after allowing the basic function of splitting audio from video to be free, you know, it was free, as it should be, because it's not anything special, you know what I'm saying, separating the video from the audio. Well, they suddenly decided that they're going to take this already free basic bitch function away and label it as a pro feature, like it's something new and fucking innovative, and not something that's like just done in video editors, all three that I've worked in. Yeah, they decided to make it a pro feature, and after I'd gotten done editing like 35 minutes of video, I was unable to export it, so I had to do a bunch of bullshit. But just to kind of give you laymen out there a little bit, not that I'm like, you know, anyone in the editing world, but just to give you like an idea if you don't know what I'm talking about, this quote-unquote feature, actually this function, it's like ordering from a restaurant and them charging you to use their plates and napkins that they wash and reuse. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's some bullshit. So I had to rush a workaround and accidentally kept the music track muted. I'm gonna get into it, that's the short of it. I'm gonna talk more about it later, but this isn't really that video. This isn't what I'm doing in this video. I'm not here to bother y'all with my editing woes this time. No, this video is about the 2025 Words and Pictures Comic Jam, which at time of recording, this is the last day to submit comics. I'm sorry, I wanted to get a video out about this earlier, but I've been busy. I'm going to talk about that in the rant video also, not this one. But before we even get into this, some of you might not know what the hell a comic jam even is. So I'm gonna tell you, this is what it is. It's actually exactly what it fucking sounds like. You know, like in jazz or in rock, or in when a jam band like the Grateful Dead get up there and they kind of go off script and go off the rail and just let each musician go ham or go jam, as it were. I think I'm funny. I'm the only one. Yeah, so a comic jam is basically everyone's kind of take on a short comic. Usually it's following a theme. I don't think it always has to, but it should be, in my opinion, a short comic. But yeah, it's artists coming together and jamming with their work. So that leads me to, what the hell is Words and Pictures? Well, it's been an annual comic jam contest hosted by the Webcomics Hub and organized by Nen and his team. Primarily Nen. But basically, Webcomic Hubs is a YouTube channel, and it's also a Discord channel, and they do a lot of stuff. They're working on, like, having a comic hosting site also, but I'm not gonna talk about that in this video. I don't know if I might talk about it at some point, but it's not even done yet. So yeah, that's what Words and Pictures is. It's a contest that Webcomic Hub has been hosting for at least 3 years now, and I participated. This is the third year. I participated in each of them, and I've done videos on each of them, so you can go watch them. I'm going to put the link down in the description for each of those videos if you want to see my past submissions. This jam is themed. Every time that they have this contest, it is a themed one, and so it requires an artist or a team of artists. You can work together communally and make one submission if you want, but it essentially requires them and challenges them to create a short comic embodying the theme of that year's jam. And there are prizes too! Hey! And I'm not gonna lie, I would like to win a prize. It would be nice to have one, but I don't want to buy one, so it would be nice to win the prize since I just spent all of my savings for that on the train trip to go see family in October. But if I don't win, it's cool too, because it's not actually what the main focus of the jams are. The primary focus or goal is to be creating art, to have fun, to, at times work communally. You can work independently if you want, that's fine. But for me, I like to kind of, work communally. I think that's kind of like the spirit in which this jam is being held. But it's also, most of all, and this is a struggle for all of us fucking artsy-fartsy folks, it's to help people actually complete a motherfucking comic. Because if there's anything artists like to do, it's not finishing fucking work. Okay, it's not even like, but if there's a challenge for artists, it's squeezing out time to make a completed piece. And so the nice thing about these jams is that it helps you to get creative, it makes you be concise, and it helps you to create a finished work that you can show off and add to your oeuvre, okay? And there's a lot of reasons why artists have trouble finishing things. You know me, I got lots of shit that's not finished, okay? So I'm not, judging anyone. It's just a fact. It's hard to get things completed. So these comic jams, because they're so short, it's really nice to kind of help people actually get shit done so that you can show off your work and have a completed piece. Whereas, a lot of us are off making thousands of pages of a series or a saga and question whether or not they're ever going to finish. I am going to finish Dark Horse, by the way. I'm what I'm talking about. Dark Horse is my free, not safe for work, post-apocalyptic magical girl fantasy comic that you can read if you're an adult. Link for that is somewhere. It's everywhere. Okay, now that I'm done plugging myself. I need to stop saying that. I did stop saying that for a long time. Okay, we're just gonna move along. What is this year's theme? Well, it's online. And man, was I fucking stumped when I saw the release of the theme. But with the help of talking with people in a comic community that I'm a part of, I got a lot of inspiration, and I'm actually going to talk about my piece later in this video. I'm just kind of getting the who, what, when, where, whatever, how, what, blah, 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 all those questions kind of answered at the beginning here. But yeah, a few of us in a Discord that I'm a part of were kind of talking to each other and brainstorming, and I brainstormed on my own, and then we shared our ideas and gave each other feedback on our thumbnails and stuff like that. So yeah, online was kind of a difficult one for me, but a lot of us came up with some ideas, and they're, at least within the group, they're pretty different. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, that's actually part of what makes jams like this so fun, is because it's about building your body of work, yes, but also you have the option of working with others and being part of a network of fellow artists. Now, Webcomic Hubs, because they've got or Webcomics Hub, sorry, I'm stumbling over myself here. They actually do have a Discord server that, some people have been talking about their pieces in over there. I am a part of that Discord server, but as I've mentioned in the past, if you haven't seen, or heard me talking about that, I get real nervous in those giant fucking servers. There's just too many people, and it's not that there's too many people, it's that I'm fucking slow and can't keep up with a lot of the chatting quite often. So it's a little intimidating for me. But you could also do things where you're working in smaller groups, which is what I ended up doing. Not really working, but like I was saying, we talked about it communally in a smaller Discord that I'm a part of. Or you could even lasso up some of your friends and work on it with them. Either your online friends or in-person friends. And so, like I said, I worked on it in this this Discord thing, but I also worked on it with my partner out at the pub. So the next question that I kind of wanted to answer is, what are the prizes? Because every year there are prizes. Last year, not only did XP Pen sponsor it, and that's who's sponsoring it this year. XP Pen is pretty big. They're pretty well known. They're who I got my light box from them, and I'm pretty happy with the light box that I've got. So they're pretty well known, but also last year, on top of it, Clip Art motherfucking Studio also gave some stuff out for the contest. You could win a copy of Clip Art Studio, or a year or something like that of their fancy smanchy stuff. So this is actually kind of cool in my opinion. I wanted to talk about it because this year I'm nervous that it's not going to be as big as last year. There was a little over 100, I think. I mean, I know that there's probably going to be some more submissions by the time this video comes out, because I know how artists work. I know, I am an artist too. And we all work right up to the fucking deadline quite often. So I'm thinking there's probably going to be more submissions. In fact, a couple more came in today before I started recording this. But I really want to talk about it because I think that this is a really cool contest. And I think it's really cool. Like, for me, I've gotten so much fun art out of it. And I want them, the Webcomics Hub, to be able to keep doing this contest. Because even if I never win, what I like about it is what I stated earlier, is that it gives me some completed work that I can show off and share with people and feel proud about. And this year's submission, I am really, really fucking proud of. But we'll get to that later. So that's kind of why I'm talking about this. And to be honest, there's some, I think like XP Pen and, God, having CSP last year, that's pretty fucking big in my opinion. Yeah, I'm trying to promote it and trying to like get some eyes on this contest because I think it's a great opportunity for artists. I also mentioned it on like my social medias and on my webcomic, like on Comic Fury and stuff. So, and that's kind of why I like to participate in this. That's what this jam is about. The rest of this video, I don't know why I talk like that, you guys. I don't know. It feels fun to do like different voices, you know? It feels fun because I'm sitting here talking to myself, so I've got to amuse myself in some way, and talking in weird voices is how I do it. It's not, maybe it doesn't even sound weird to you. It just sounds weird to me. I don't know. I'm out of my fucking mind. Okay. So what the fuck? So the rest of this video, I want to talk about my submission and just my thoughts in general on the work that I'm submitting. Actually, that's also, if you hadn't, noticed, that's what I'm working on in the background. The comic title that I chose is Down. I kind of was talking about it with my partner. I did come up with it myself, I think. I was thinking about I was going to call it Idiot Doom Spiral as a reference, not to people who are online, because this is kind of like talking about doom scrolling. I wasn't referencing people online who get into the doom spiral, because I too get there. I was thinking of having it be a reference to one of my favorite video games of all fucking time, Disco Elysium. There is a character in it called Idiot Doom Spiral, and with one of these pages I have a spiral going on. But then I realized, wow, that really fucking sounds insulting, and because it's like kind of a niche reference, like there are lots of people who play Disco Elysium, but I'm gonna guess the majority of people who look at this contest are gonna see that and think that I'm being a fucking major asshole. And I wasn't wanting to insult a bunch of people because I think most of us get involved in doom scrolling. So I decided against that, and then I settled on Down. I guess I can read it to you guys, and then I'll talk a little bit about... I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think that it's like all that cryptic for you to understand what I'm talking about, but because there might be other generations here, and I know that, just because you're younger doesn't mean that you don't know about the technology and shit of the time. Trust me, being a fucking counterculture 60s freak who lived vicariously through my fucking mom, having all these old boomers come at me and act like I didn't know shit, and then I'd have to pull out the fucking musicians that those motherfuckers had never even heard of. Like I'd never seen an 8-track, or them talking like I wouldn't know what an LP was, when hello, in the 80s we had records, and I probably have a bigger record collection than a lot of those people now. I know what it's like to be talked down to by older people who think you don't know what a cassette tape or a VHS is, and it's like, just because someone's young doesn't mean they don't know what fucking older tech is. They could be very interested in the time, or just exist on the internet and see old people like us talking about it. But at the same time, now that I've had that little disclaimer, because I did actually live through it, I wanted to share like my experience. I can understand that aspect from the boomers also. Like, it's cool to like share your experience with younger folks and let them get a taste of what it was really like, because sometimes we just look at things from like rose-colored glasses and yada yada yada. So it's good to also listen to the voices of the people who were actually there too. So there, how is that for not picking any sides, you guys? Okay. I don't even know why there's a side to pick. These are just my thoughts, okay? This is just all the fucking cluttered shaking around pennies in the fucking brain that go on in my mind. I'm gonna read it, and the reason why I'm gonna read it is because when I'm talking about all the symbolism and stuff, it's not gonna make any sense if I don't at least read it. Down. We got our first online computer in 1999. As a starry-eyed teen, I marveled at the world at my fingertips. I could talk to folks across the globe. Fanfiction emails, web rings, and GeoCities too. So many ways to learn and connect with others. That meant a lot to an isolated country girl like me. I wasn't entirely naive about the early days of the internet. No rose-colored lenses here. But as the years scrolled by, there was a definite shift in the online environment. I became a doom scroller, so to speak, on a downward spiral, but to where and to what end? I don't know. The deeper I go, the more of us there are, the less light at the end of the tunnel, the harder it gets to breathe. I think it's time to come up for air. Okay, so like one of the first things that really... In fact, the first thing that came to my mind was the concept of going down the rabbit hole. That phrase gets overused, I think, but it gets overused because I think it's very apt to describe what happens when you start getting on these doom feeds and how easy it is for you to be pulled down deeper and deeper into it. So the last page is actually the first page that I came up with when I was working on this. And with the concept of like down the rabbit hole, I immediately thought of Watership Down, which if you're not familiar with Watership Down, first and foremost, do not waste your time, in my opinion, with the CGI Netflix one. I don't feel like the stiff CGI animation really can capture the guttural, raw emotion and terror that the 80s animated film did, which I think is more evocative of what Richard Adams was going for. I mean, it's traumatizing, I'm not gonna lie. We weren't allowed... Well, God, did we watch it? I had it on VHS, you guys. It was recorded. We were like the kings and queens of recording shit onto VHS tapes, okay? My mom didn't buy that shit. She recorded it. I don't care. From a very young age, my mom got me into the concept of enjoying free media. I mean, as soon as I hit high school, she handed me a copy of Hoffman's Steal This Book, so, you know. But I digress. Okay, so what I was getting at is that there's a trigger warning on that animation. If you're very overly sensitive to violence and graphics that are gory, it's not something that you want to watch. But in my opinion, if you can get through it, it has a lot of very good social commentary, and the blood and gore serves a purpose. It's not just like a fucking gore fest for the sake of gore fest. There is a very serious discussion being had in both the book and the animation, and I feel like the animation is just so incredibly stunning that it is quite literally something that has been with me my entire life. And it holds a lot of meaning to me. So when I did this piece, I will tell you right now, I didn't even look up the animation when I was doing this shit. And I did that for a reason. It was because I wanted it to be my own. I wanted it to be my remembrances of some of the scenes from that animation. So it was my interpretation completely of those visuals, while being related to something that is both still social commentary, but is not the same type of commentary that was being held in the text of Watership Down. But yeah, that last page is the first one that I worked on, and that was an image that I really wanted to be powerful and stick with whoever read this, because I think it's something very relatable for us. The internet, it seriously can be and is a very empowering tool to people. But especially with like the introduction of AI and all the misinformation and the red pilling and black pilling and all those dangers that are ever more present, even more so I think than when I was a child. I would not say that's a radical statement to say. I wanted this to be something that is kind of like a warning to people, and so I wanted that page, and a warning to myself too, not just other people, but I really wanted that page to stand out. And so that was like the first one that I came up with. The second one that I came up with, like the idea I was kicking around and wasn't sure whether or not I would do, was the spiral. Because I really wanted to evoke that feeling and that visual of how easy it is to be pulled down into that darkness. How you start out and it's like a wide track at first, and then it just starts pulling you in, and it gets tighter and tighter and tighter and more claustrophobic. So the idea, the reason why I didn't want to do it at first was because you'd have to like turn your head to read it and shit. But then I thought, fuck it. I don't care. I do print media. And I think that it would be a stronger visual to have it like this and to just go with my gut feeling and do that, because I wanted that to kind of lead into the final page where you've been pulled down and now you're seeing the character. I actually kind of, if I'm going to be honest, I kept kind of waffling back and forth. Did I want to have the rabbits in the warren that are crowding each other out? Did I want that on the second page, or did I want it on the third page? And I kept having that kind of debate with myself before I finally settled on, no, I need to end with the rabbits being crowded out. But I still want that spiral, so that I decided that I would have that just kind of pulling you down into like the subject of the comic, and then lead you into the next page. I know this is like more the technical stuff that most people don't give a shit about, but I just was kind of wanting to explain a little bit of my thought behind this. And the eyeballs, you know, the eyeballs aren't just there to like act as, you know, something creepy and spooky, because I know that can oftentimes be not overused. I mean, it's visuals that like people are used to seeing. Like if you watch an anime, a fantasy anime, you're going to probably at some point see eyeballs. I'm thinking about Full Metal Alchemist, which I think did it the best in my opinion. But also, well, Full Metal Alchemist and Hellsing. I just got done rewatching the old Hellsing, the original one. I need to watch Ultimate again. But that use of eyeballs, I think, is really fucking good. But sometimes it can be used, and I don't think it's quite as effective in some medias as others. But the point of the eyeballs is that we've all got our eyes on this. You know, we've all got our eyes on the internet. And the eye is kind of also tying into like the first page. I wanted all the pages to be connected in some way to kind of lead into each other. So the eyes were there for a couple reasons. It's not just to kind of be spooky and creepy. Like it was to say something about like how all eyes are on this. And then I'm working in reverse. That's okay. That's how I worked on the comic. I did know before I did the second page that I was going to have like this idea of like being starry-eyed. So adding the eyes to that second page came after deciding that I wanted eyes to be kind of a focal point. A focal point on the first page. Just kind of showing you how like my thought process goes. I mean, because I don't like always decide this is going to be on a page, this is going to be on the page, this is going to be on the page. It's kind of like a fluid thing as I'm working on it. I come up with like the ideas and how I want to do this visual and how it's going to tie into the next one. I don't always do that, obviously, but for this specific thing, that's kind of what I was going for. And so that I knew I wanted to do, because when I was a kid, like the way we like, in my opinion, like the general zeitgeist regarding the internet was that this is going to be something that unites us all. This is like giving you the power of knowledge at your fingertips. It's giving you a chance to connect with people from around the world. The 90s like were very the idea, the way they were like kind of propagating the concept of the internet, even though the internet's been around since before the 90s, you guys. I'm not here to give y'all a history lesson, but it really started getting popular with like AOL. It was really starting to get inside everyone's homes with AOL. And our school, they didn't require us to have a computer, but the computer labs were always fucking crowded. And my dad was always like interested in tech anyway. He had a computer in the 80s, one of the old school ones that you had to like park heads before turning it off. My partner, his dad literally built a fucking computer and had it like inside like a milk crate, you know, so it's like computers existed, but like getting like an internet, I should say, existed, but like getting it into like the common person's home really kind of boomed in like the 90s, specifically for us, the late 1990s, because we lived out in the country, so it was like hard for us to get a hold of anything. And since they were starting to do it online, that concept of online came from, I think, and I could be wrong on this, but my take on it was because the internet was coming into your home through the telephone line, so it was online. Like, you couldn't talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same fucking time if you were using AOL. But at any rate, like, the way they were marketing it to us when we were kids was that this was a real learning tool. And it was also like it was really fun for me as a child. Like, I wasn't even a child. I should say I was a teenager. Because in 1999, I was just entering high school. So, like, my first introduction to the internet was for homework, but it was also through AOL. Like, I was a part of, like, fan culture that nobody around me was interested in, if that makes sense. One of the things that the internet did for me was it connected me with people who were also fans of Sailor Moon, because nobody around me was fucking watching Sailor Moon, aside from like my sister secretly was watching it. I never really felt like I could talk to anyone about like the fan things that I was interested in. Gorillas. Nobody at school, believe it or not, nobody at fucking school until later on got even interested in Gorillas. But because I was a huge Beatle fan, I was also a big Britpop fan, and I was a big Oasis and Blur fan. And so when Gorillas came out as a music group, I was like on their website playing with the Winnebago website long before anyone in my school even knew who the fuck Gorillas were, because I loved Damon Albarn and I loved Blur having the Beatles as their influence. And I, therefore, liked them because they both loved the Beatles. And so when Damon Albarn was doing like this spin-off thing, and because I like comic and I love Tank Girl, like I grew up with Tank Girl too, you guys. I loved Tank Girl, and I knew that he was working with the artist who did the comic that the film, which is batshit insane, you guys, but the comic artist was the one who was designing all of the Gorillas characters. So I didn't have like that community of people who liked the same shit that I did to talk with. And so when I was younger, like most of my relationship with the internet was positive because, oh, I'm talking to all these other young teenage girls. Oh my god, I have found people who know what anime is and have also been running to their Hollywood Video, Family Video, fucking weird ass small video shops that have like anime, and they're watching whatever the fuck anime they can find that's on the shelves because they can't get the fuck hold of it anywhere else. Now I'm online. Now I can very slowly, with like 5 seconds of things buffering at a time. Oh my god, the video buffer. You guys have no idea how spoiled you are on watching YouTube videos, because it used to be, if I tried to watch a video, it had to buffer, and you'd be watching it and it would stop and you'd have to sit there and wait. And you could try to let it buffer all the way, but it's gonna be like an hour before that fucking 30-minute anime is buffered that you're trying to watch. And I'm glad we're spoiled, because now I can, watch, anime anytime I want. But yeah, and I mean, that was like the day of like, when I was going back to like the Gorillas, talking about Gorillas, I was so excited. Like, the reason why like people, I think a lot of us were so stoked about Gorillas is that they really built up the like community aspect of like the band, with like that website with the Winnebago contest and having to find where's the Winnebago gonna be and blah blah blah. You know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, that's fine. But also like Gorillas, like I couldn't, like their first CD when it came out, it was like fucking $25, you guys, and that was a lot of money. But I got it. But I couldn't afford like the G-sides or any of that shit. So that was like the time of Napster. And my dad was all for Napster until it became illegal, and then he fucking stick in the mud. He was always so fucking, you gotta follow the law, except for when I want to smoke pot illegally. Anything he wanted to do illegal was fine, but the moment it became, you trying to do it. Oh my god. Oh god. Fucking. Okay, I'm not gonna get on that rant. But we had Napster, so like my first burnt CD it had Ghost Train on it because I couldn't find it anywhere. That's a Gorillaz song. Eventually, I was able to afford like the G-sides and got a hold of like an official copy. But before then, like Julian Lennon's fucking one of his songs I downloaded. I had like Gorillaz. I had the Tenchi Muyo theme. I downloaded. I loved that fucking theme. There was so like for me like my relationship was so incredibly starry-eyed regarding the internet that like what it's become now, it's not that there aren't good parts of the internet. Obviously, I'm online, you guys. I'm here talking to you through a video. I think that community and being able to touch the lives of others that you've never met and you probably never will meet, I think that's really powerful and important. But I think it would be like the reason why like I kind of paint the early days of the internet in such a positive light is because for me, it was a positive thing. But in the second page, I do mention that, you know, I'm not stupid. I wasn't naive because my dad, as I mentioned earlier in the video, was very, very much into technology. We couldn't afford a ton of tech, but, you know, he spent money when he could on it. And him and mom both, like, mom already knew about, like, strangers on the internet. I'm pretty sure there's, like, an X-File episode where somebody meets someone online and gets murdered or some shit. So I had my mom's, like, healthy dose of paranoia about serial killers and how they might be scoping kids out online. So don't give out your personal information. I had that from my mom. And then I had my dad's side of healthy paranoia of, you know, these pop-ups, don't click any of these motherfucking pop-ups because you're going to download a virus. I hit one by accident and like a million Pokemon pop-ups. It was just the Windows, just a billion of them, and it crashed my fucking computer and I had to restart it. Thankfully nothing bad happened, but like, you know, my dad, I had the don't click on this, be careful what communities you're going into. And also on top of that, you guys, again, if you're younger, maybe this was not the case for you, maybe it was, but our computer was in our dining room, and the dining room was right next to the downstairs bathroom. To get to the bathroom, you had to go through the dining room, either from the kitchen or from the front room, which was the TV room. Well, it was the TV room, and it was like, later they moved the TV room to, like, the back porch. But, like, my family was, like, watching TV in the other room, and then the kitchen was right in there, and the bathroom was right there. So, unlike kids today, like, yes, I was able to sneak around and go on websites that I wasn't allowed to be on, but I had to be so much sneakier about it because my parents were constantly walking in and out of that room. So I'd have to quickly lower a window, or I'd have to quickly change it or exit out. And sometimes I got caught doing something I wasn't supposed to, which I don't know if that's the case now. And I'm not judging anyone, but I think like it's a lot more dangerous for kids today, not because the dangers didn't exist back then, but because the controls on these tech, it's like so much, I feel it's easier for them to get around and get to places where they're not supposed to. Whereas when my parents said they're waiting for a phone call, I had to get the fuck off the internet. I was not allowed to be on it 24/7 because our phone line would be tied up and we would maybe be expecting important phone calls. And also there was always somebody there to watch, and my mom, man, she would catch you she was fucking sneaky as shit. If you were doing something you weren't supposed to, she would find out. My sister skipped school once, and her fucking friend was the town gossip, and somebody saw my sister skipping school hanging out at like the local park on the bleachers, and that got round to mom. So like my sister got in trouble and got grounded. Another time she skipped school and she got rear-ended by someone. So it's like, you know, there was no, like, I took these lessons to heart. It's like, you can't sneak around mom. Mom will fucking find out. Mom will snoop it out and fucking find out. So it's like, what I could do that was like bad or not appropriate for my age was very limited because I had very watchful parents. And then my dad knew how to check internet history, so he could check that, and like I could get in trouble for that. It's a lot more tempting and easier and more free reign for kids on the internet. And in my opinion, in my experience, I think that lends itself to allowing, or at least giving kids more of an opportunity to get into more trouble than when my personal experience as a kid, if that makes sense. This is not me judging people. It's very complex. Again, I'm not really judging people. I get it. There's a lot of nuance to it, and I'm not judging people who just let their kids have access to the internet. At any rate, that's kind of what I was getting at with like this first page, is that it was a very different world for me and a very different experience than what it is today, and how even us adults, like I'm talking about kids, but motherfucker, I mean, we adults get like pulled into this like shit, into the AI psychosis. We get pulled into like toxic fucking groups of people like 4chan or QAnon. We get pulled into misinformation. I mean, it's a very different world. There were like crazy, like out there websites when I was a kid, and you always kind of knew it because they always had like weird ass fucking just long scrawls of fucking nonsense text, and it used to be you could see that and say, oh, these people are off their fucking rockers and get the fuck out of there, you know, nope the fuck out. But people have gotten a lot more savvy about it, and like internet UI and like algorithms, things have made it a lot more, I guess, easier to like pull people in to that. So I'm talking about kids, but it's like us adults, we can't fucking handle this shit, okay? We can't handle this shit. So that's kind of like where I was going like with like this comic. And again, I don't want like the final thought to be being online bad now, being online good then. That's not what I'm saying at all. That would be missing the entire nuance of the existence of being online and the internet. But I wanted to use this opportunity to get like some of my own personal feelings and apprehensions out regarding how the internet is now being used. And I didn't even touch upon how much of our personal information, you know, the tracking of I've been fucking pissed about that for years now. I don't talk about it all the time on the channel, but like I've always been apprehensive about just how much of our personal data is being tracked and shit. So I think it is more dangerous now to be online, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't dangerous, you know, back in the day. I just thought that I could use this opportunity to kind of express myself and express some of my personal thoughts about where things are going and my own personal experience myself with having to like detach from being online constantly, just always being online. There are periods of time when I will shut off the computer and just not interact with the computer for my own mental health. And I'm hoping that like, if anything, it won't, but I'm hoping that maybe this will act as like kind of like something that people can reflect upon and, you know, maybe use it as like kind of an inspiration for themselves to make sure they're coming up for breathers, for not living online. Yes, I know a lot of times online is a safe space for people who in reality are endangered. But even for them, online can be toxic and scary, and people can harass and attack them and make them feel unsafe. So, I mean, yeah, it can be a safe haven within your specific groups, but at the same time, I think it is good to kind of disconnect and be with yourself and be with your own thoughts and do things in reality in addition to having your online life, having your real life and your online life. And that's something that I talk about on this channel, you know, from time to time anyway, but this is like a visual expression of that. Finally, I chose the rabbit, not just because of Watership Down. It's interesting, we associate rabbits with being cute and cuddly and innocent because they're cute little herbivores, but we also paradoxically relate them with being terrifying and creepy. Some of them have red eyes, so that's creepy. some of us really fucking like Monty Python and the Holy Grail too much. And so you've got Fluffy that's fucking creepy. There's the rabbits in like the film Us. Oh my god. I chose that as like the personification, or I should say the anthropomorphic embodiment of me as a person, but also just people in general. Because, you know, we can kind of use rabbits in both like that cute, fluffy, innocent way, but it's also, you know, they can be, they're prey animals, so they can be like terrified. And there's also like, I guess very loosely just the concept of, I mean, really Alice in Wonderland wasn't much of an influence for this one, you guys. But, you know, you do have like the whole down the rabbit hole, the Go Ask Alice reference, you know, all that kind of here, but not really for this piece. It was constantly in the back of my mind, but I was like, no, I don't want this to be an Alice in Wonderland reference at all, aside from like the going down the rabbit hole being something that came from the concept of both Alice in Wonderland, the piece of work, and also like the whole psychedelic Jefferson Airplane like song, you know. Yeah, I think I have rattled on about this piece long enough. Oh my god. But yeah, I want to kind of end the video with asking, oh god, no one's at the end of the video. But if you got to the end of the video, I would ask that you check out my comic. If you like it, please give me a vote. I also want to ask you to read the other comics, and I'm not just saying that to look all diplomatic and oh, look at me, I'm such a good person, I'm telling you to look at everybody else's. I'm saying that because the point of comic jams to me is to really highlight the artist and the human behind it and their work, and you aren't going to get that if you just go and take a look at one comic. It's really cool to like look at how everyone as a whole that's participating are interpreting this one word online. And I want y'all to go there, and they're 3 pages long. Unless it's a scroll comic, which I don't see any submitted yet, but those have like a maximum of 27 panels, I think is what it says. So they're not like super long, and I think it would be worth your time to check them out. At least look at the covers and, you know, read the other comics that like interest you, that pique your interest. All of them that I've read so far, they're quick reads and they're enjoyable. They give me like some food for thought. It's interesting to like see the different like interpretations of it. So I'm asking you to not just go over there and read mine and vote, but read other people's comic too. And if you like them, give them a vote too, because you can vote for more than one comic. And while I would be thrilled to place in this contest, I'm not going to have hard feelings when I don't win. I really don't. Because I am very happy. As you can tell, I babbled about this fucking comic for like an hour. I want you to be honest and vote for the comics that you enjoy. Don't just go over and vote for mine, because there's some really good ones over there. I know I've got a bias because I know the person who submitted it, but the Acrobat and the Clown, that one is pretty good. I love plays on words, and I'm not going to spoil the actual name of the comic, so go read it, vote for it if you want. If you like it, vote for it, but also check out all the other comics. Actually, there's somebody else in our group that's going to be submitting. They're working on it still. At time of recording, they haven't submitted it, or I would give them like a little shout out too, but go check them all out because there's quite a few fun ones. The Yo-Ho-Ho was enjoyable. I really liked that one. And I've actually enjoyed all of them. The E-Asphyxiation was pretty good, but all of them are enjoyable so far. That's all I got to say this week, this time. I'm going to have quite a few videos coming out, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm doing a workaround. I need to do my rant video, and I've got like some other stuff coming out, but we will see you in 2026, y'all. Have a happy and safe New Year. I'm gonna explain why I don't have a fan art video next year. I always end with a fan art video, but this year things got fucked, and it's in relation to the editing issue. And also just being over fucking burdened with work right now. So, until next time, be kind to each other, be safe, have a happy new year, protect each other, keep each other safe, don't endanger other people, okay? Don't drink and drive, but have a good time. And I will see y'all next year. Peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.